Today, our topic of discussion is knowledge representation and propositional logic. So, we know that any particular AI system usually consists of various components. Now, let me show you one diagram so that you could understand what are the different components exist in a particular AI system. So the first component in an AI system is known as perception component. And the second component is known as learning component. And the third component, which is our today's topic of discussion, it is known as knowledge representation component. Now the next component is known as reasoning component. And between knowledge representation component and reasoning component, we have bidirectional arrow. Why? I will explain it. Afterwards, we have another component which is known as planning component. And the last component is known as execution component. And we have one more connection with the reasoning component and execution component. Now, this is the basic diagram. It shows the interaction of an AI system with the real world, and the component involve all this component. Now we have to understand what are the functionalities of this different component. So whenever I'm talking about perception, the perception component retrieves data or information from the environment. So whatever data and information we want to gather from the environment as an input, it is gathered by the perception component. And it also defines how to respond when any sense has been detected. So this mechanism is also depicted by this perception component. This learning component learns and captures data. Or we can say the learning component gather data, whatever information is captured by the perception component. Means whatever data and information this component will gather from the environment, this learning component will accept those. So the goal here is to build a computer that can be used for thinking, means that can be taught instead of programming them. So if this learning component is absent from your AI system, what will happen each time you have to feed some information manually. So here our intention is to build a computer that can be taught instead of programming them, and this learning component makes it possible. And this learning basically focuses on the process of self improvement. We expect that our AI system should gather some domain knowledge and learn something and create some self improvement mechanism so that it could give us intelligent outcome. So this self improvement can be induced in your AI system by using this learning component. So, in order to learn new things, the system requires knowledge acquisition. So, here my point is try to understand the main component in this cycle is the knowledge representation and reasoning, which shows the human like intelligent property in your machine. So if these two components are missing, then the learning action of your AI machine will not be possible. So here you can make a note that knowledge representation is all about understanding the intelligence. Now we have to understand how propositional logic is related with knowledge representation. See, Propositional logic is one of the simplest method of knowledge representation to a particular machine. So proposition means I can say in one word it is just a sentence. So any sentence can be treated as proposition. However, this propositional logic applies the Boolean logic to convert our real life world scenario into the format that can be readable by your machine. So, the main intention of using propositional logic is it should gather the environmental logic or real world scenario as a data and convert it in a such a format that can be readable by a particular AI machine. Say I am providing one real world knowledge, that is, it is hot and humid today. It is hot and humid today. So the machine won't understand. So this set of information will not be understood by your machine. But if we can create a propositional logic for this sentence, then we can make this machine read and interpret the message which is gathered from the real world. So basically, in one word, propositional logic is a kind of representation which helps the real world information to be provided in a certain machine so that this information can be readable or interpretable by this certain AI machine. So this is the main reason why we are using propositional logic. As I have explained that propositional logic, it is derived from Boolean logic. Hence, propositional logic is applied to those sentences where the output only be either true or false. This point you have to remember. For an example, say I'm just writing earth is round. So outcome of this sentence is true. So it means it is a proposition. However, if I write earth is square, see outcome of this sentence is false. But this sentence is also a proposition. So here my point is, since propositional logic, we can say that it is another concept of Boolean logic. So it only deals with the sentence which is either true or false. So now we have two types of propositional logic. One is your atomic sentence and another one is your complex propositional logic. So first type is your atomic propositional logic and the second type is complex propositional logic. So atomic propositional logic means I can say single proposition. So if I write say sky is blue. So this is a single sentence and this sentence has either true outcome or false outcome. So since sky is blue is a single statement which has an outcome either true or false, so we can say that it is a propositional logic. Also we can say it comes under the category of atomic propositional logic because we have the single sentence. Now for complex propositional logic, we can say that, say the sky is blue and water is liquid. So here try to understand, here I am just concatenating two sentences with some connective which is known as and connective. So whenever we use some specific kind of connectives to append or to concatenate two separate sentences, and when each of the sentences has its own true or false outcome, then this kind of propositional logic is known as complex propositional logic. So each time whenever we deal with propositional logic, we have to deal with this two kind of scenarios. But here the important point is how to represent the propositional logic. Now, for representation of propositional logic, I will give you one example. This is a very basic kind of propositional logic representation. Then we will move on to the complex category. So now, how to represent this propositional logic? Say a particular word is given as a person ABC is intelligent and hardworking. Now, to represent this sentence, we know that it is a complex sentence because we have connectives between two sentences. However, to represent this real world knowledge into propositional logic so that our machine could comprehend this, so what we have to write, we have to split this sentence into two parts. The first part is ABC is intelligent, and the second part will be ABC is hardworking. And propositional logic representation will be for ABC is intelligent, we have to use the letter P. Why I am starting from P? It is a convention that whenever we are denoting any particular sentence as proposition, if it is a first sentence, it will start from P. P is the starting letter of proposition, and then rest of the sentence will follow P, Q, R, S, T, something like this. So the first statement will be written as P and the second statement will be written as Q. So in some books you will find capital P and capital Q. Both the notations are acceptable. Now to represent this statement, we know that ABC is intelligent means P and ABC is hardworking means Q. In between these two sentences, we have and connective. So I will write P and Q. So this is your real world information, and this is how you are converting this real world information into propositional logic so that your AI machine can understand the meaning of this information gathered from the environment. Now let's talk about some other representation which are the very basic representation of propositional logic. So now we have to write the next sentence which will be acting like a disjunction example. Means whenever I use and in between two propositional sentences or in between two atomic formulas, it is known as conjunction. And whenever I use or in between two sentences, then it is known as disjunction. So the example of this kind will be I can write that ABC, a person ABC is a doctor, or I don't know, or he may be an engineer. This kind of sentence, ABC is doctor, it can be represented as P, and ABC is engineer, it can be represented as Q. And what connective we have in between? We have OR connective. So in this case, the representation will be P or Q. But there is another representation which is known as implication. So the classical example of implication, I can say that let's consider this statement. If it is raining, then the street is wet. So this is the statement. So what I can do, it is raining, I can denote this sentence as P, the first proposition. And The street is wait. This statement I can write as Q. Now, what do you mean by implication? Implication is also termed as if then rule. So, for this if and then word, I will write P implies Q. Means if P happens, then Q happens. So this entire real world scenario can be represented as P implies Q, which is another propositional logic representation. So here you have to remember one point: whenever you find any real world information in the form of if and then you have to use implication sign. And the next most important representation is known as biconditional representation. This biconditional representation will be written as like this. Either you can write it as this or you can write this. So these two notations are popular. Now for this biconditional kind of statement, I can give you one real world example, that is, say I am breathing and here I am alive. So here this statement I can write it as P double implies Q, because if I am breathing then I am alive. On reverse, if I am alive then I am also breathing. So this is known as biconditional representation. But here you have to understand one point. So we have to understand some alternative notations also. So we will use here each time whenever we perform any mathematical calculation on this kind of problem, we have to remember two abbreviated form. The first abbreviated form is known as if a particular statement is given as P implies Q. Means if P happens, then Q happens. This can also be written as alternatively not P or Q. This is your alternate representation of P implies Q that you have to remember. Also, you have to remember one more point. P double implies Q. Means if P is true, then Q is true. And if Q is true, then P is true. Now, this biconditional representation can be written as if P is true, then Q is true. And union means and. And if Q is true, then P is true. So this is the first abbreviated representation. However, again we know that P implies Q can be written as not P or Q. So here also I can write P implies Q as not P or Q, and Q implies P can be written as not Q or P. So, whenever you have your biconditional propositional representation, either you can use this abbreviated form or you can use this abbreviated form. And remember one point, here we will use the concept of union as conjunction and concept of intersection as disjunction. So we will use and or for that purpose. This is your complex representation, and this complex representation will be abbreviated as this. So this section denotes the abbreviated forms. Propositional logic is not enough. This is the basic building block that we can use to represent our real world scenario. So propositional logic is having some drawback. For that reason, we have to shift on to the next level of representation, that is your predicate logic. Means I'm giving you just one example why it is not enough. If I have some term like all students are attentive. So I'm writing some statement which includes a particular word all. So in propositional logic, we have limited amount of connectives: and, or, not, implication, double implication. We have only this kind of connective. So how to represent this all Or I can say that some sentence that there exist some students, those are very attentive in the class. So how could I represent the term there exist? So my point is this is one of the biggest drawback of propositional logic. So whenever you have some sentence that contains quantifiers, all there exist, this two kind of activity is not supported in propositional logic. So for that purpose, we have to shift to the next level of representation that is known as predicate logic. My point is whatever language is uttered by the human beings are not so simple, because we use very complex sentence, and also we use some vague statements. Means today is too hot. Too hot means how much hot? How could machine will understand? So for that reason, any real world scenario cannot be represented by propositional logic alone. So we need some help of other representation also that we have to study. I remember one statement, it is by Hedman. He stated that propositional logic is not the study of truth, but it is a relationship between truth and the statement. It's a beautiful line. Now there is one problem that you could find it also. So let's talk about natural language. So the natural language, the words may have slightly different meaning. For an example, if I write any propositional representation like A and B, and we know that if I write it in this manner, B and A, both will give you the same meaning. But in natural language, try to understand. If I write, she becomes sick and went to the doctor. So this is the line. She becomes sick, A, and she went to the doctor is B. See, this is my natural language. So it is not same as B and A, because it does not imply that she went to the doctor and she becomes sick. We can write it as B and A. So this both the statement uttered in natural language have different meaning. They are not same. So got my point. So mathematically, it may possible that according to propositional logic, A and B and A is same. However, whenever we are using this for interpreting the natural language, they are not same. So this is another drawback of the propositional logic. So now how to represent propositional logic? Since propositional logic is a basic representation, so we have to learn how to represent this logic first. So basically, the logical expressions are built on the basis of three components. The first component is known as object. It is also known as constants, such as a person name like John. It is an object or constant. Or you can say that a particular name as triangle. It's a geometric definition. So it is also a constant. And also if you represent basketball, it is the name of a game. So it is also a constant. The second component is known as variables. So variables means I can say those are the unspecific references to the object. Means X is a bird. So here X means it is a variable. So it represents some unspecific references, bird references. So we can use variables for representing this kind of logical activities. And the third component is known as function. What happens? Basically, a function will look like this. So in case of function, the rule is the name of the function will be with the lowercase letters, And as an argument in the function, you can either use object or you can use variable. I'm giving you one example. I can write if the sentence is the next day is our Saturday. So, how can I represent this statement? I can write next day. It is the function name since it is starting with small letter. And as an argument, I can write anything. I can write object or I can write variable. So, I can write Saturday. So Saturday is a constant. So next day is your Saturday. So this is a functional representation of a particular statement. Or if the statement is given as John is a brother. So I can write brother. It is a function name, starts with lowercase, and I'm writing constant here. So John is the constant or the object which I am passing as an argument inside a function. So this is function representation. Now, these three components all together are known as terms. These terms are useful to represent any logical expression. So any logical expression of any form needs this term representation so that we can express our collective information gathered from the environment. But let's understand the next component which is known as predicate. Now I will explain this predicate logic in terms of this function. So we can say that these predicates are basically functions which can return true or false. That is, which kind of function can be denoted as predicate? Functions which denote attributes of any object or any relationship between individuals. So my point is, if I write particular function like brother, say ABC is a brother of DEF. This statement can be written as brother ABC DEF, means ABC is a brother of DEF. So here my point is, if a particular function is used to represent any relationship, then it is termed as predicate. Or if the statement is given as man Socrates, the statement is given as say Socrates is a man. So in predicate logic, I can represent it as man, and within this bracket, I can write Socrates. So try to understand this point here. The same representation I have used for proposition also. In proposition, I have used some representation as brother John. This point you have to remember. See, for this function, it is clear that for predicate, I am representing two arguments and relationship between two arguments. So this is definitely a predicate. But what happens? This kind of statement is also there in predicate and also there in proposition. So what is happening? Basically, my point is whenever we are dealing with atomic sentence means single sentence. So in that case, this representation, whatever representation we are using, it is predicate and also it is a proposition. So here mark one point for atomic statement representation, whatever functional representation we are using, it is predicate as well as it is a proposition. So predicate logic is basically a function that denotes attribute of an object and relationship between object. So relationship between object, we know that. Now attribute of object means what? Attribute of object means I can say that feather. If a particular bird X has feather, then I can write feather X. So feather is an attribute of some unspecified bird X. So here It is known as predicate representation as it is denoting some specific attribute of some unspecified object. So here you can note one more point that for predicate we can also pass variables as an argument. Whereas for proposition each time we are passing some particular object or constant as an argument for atomic statement representation. Now, you have one more application of predicate. So, predicates can also deal with quantifiers. Quantifiers means we have two specific kind of quantifiers, all and there exist. So, this two kind of quantifiers can be only used for predicate logic. They cannot be used for propositional logic. So, this is another advantage of using predicate. So now what I have discussed, if I create a summary, then the summary of my discussion will be like I started this discussion that whenever we have some object, variables and functions, so these three components altogether are known as terms and they are used to represent any logical expressions. And now if I have any predicate, so terms and predicate all together will create atoms or atomic formulas. And one more point here, atom means that example I have provided to you, that is feather, some attribute of some specific object. So X, the bird X has feather. So this is an atomic formula, so which is known as atoms. So it is coming from term. Term means I'm using functional representation. It is one kind of term and I am using predicate. Why I'm using predicate means how could I understand that I'm using predicate here since I'm using variable as an argument in the feather function. So the convention is the function name should be in lowercase. However, inside the function, whenever you are writing some object name, you can write it in caps like this, John, and you can also write it as all caps format. So there is no particular rule. But here the rule is whenever you are using any function and the argument of that function is some unspecified object, so at that point of time you have to use some variable. So your variable name must be in lowercase. That is the point. So now we have to understand one more point. It is all about logic and semantics. Means whenever in the external world two blocks are placed like this, say these two blocks are placed one upon another. So this is the external world. However, in logical world, it can be represented as block A and block B. So this is the logical world representation and this is the external world representation. However, if we have this scenario that we have two blocks one upon another, so this scenario of the external world can be represented as in the logical world on A comma B means block A is on block B. From the beginning of the class I was talking about today our intention is to represent external world information into some logical world representation so that this information can be clearly understood by our AI machine so that they can perform better learning and can give us better outcome. We have to understand one more thing, that is we have to understand some of the theorems or logical operations so that we can clearly explain the real world expressions into logical statement. Theorems of logical operations. We know that we have law of distributivity, we have law of De Morgan's law, we have so many laws, but today explicitly I will define some of the special laws that comes under theorem of logical operation and which are very important in artificial intelligence so that we can comprehend the real world scenario and we can convert them into logical representation. So here the first law is known as modus ponens. So this is one of the important law of theorem of logical operation. What do you mean by modus ponens? If P implies Q and P is true, then we can say that Q is true. We know that P implies Q means it's an implication, but what it is representing means what is the meaning of this law? See, this is the law, means this is the statement. But what is the meaning? I'm giving you one example. So let's consider this example that if you have a current password, then you can log on to the network. So this is the first statement. This statement I can write if you have a current password means P, then you can log on to the network, it will be Q. So we have if and then, so I can write it as P implies Q. This is your first statement. And in the second statement, if it is given that you have a current password. So how can I represent this? You can log on to the network and you have a current password. So you have a current password means P. So this statement will be represented as P. So what do you mean by modus ponens law? So whenever from the real world you are gathering first information as this, that if you have a current password then you could log into the network, then internally it will be represented as P implies Q. How we can represent it, we know that we have discussed it. And then you have another information that you have a current password, then it can be represented as P. So at this point of time, the machine will apply law of modus ponens. According to law of modus ponens, whenever you have these two statements, then the conclusion will be Q is true. Q is true means now at this point we will apply the concept of modus ponens and then as an output what we will get? We will get therefore you can log on to the network. So this will be your outcome. Means whenever you feed your AI machine with this two information from the real world, first machine will convert it into the propositional logic and afterwards it will use one theorem of logical operation, that is it will use modus ponens internally, and as an outcome you will be able to see that your machine is prompting that okay you can log in to the network. So this is the intelligent outcome that we are deriving from the machine, and machine is processing external activity or external information. Now we will go to the second rule. This rule is known as modus tollens rule. The rule is if P implies Q and not Q is true, then not P is true. This is the statement. So what is the meaning of this? I'm giving you one example. So whenever you are gathering the first information from the environment, that is again if you have a current password, then you can log into the network. So it can be represented as P, and this portion will be Q. We have if then. Immediately this information will be converted as P implies Q. So this is your first information gathered. Now the second information is you cannot log into the network. So you can log into the network is represented by Q. So here we have you cannot log into the network. So for cannot, I will use one not operator, and for the rest of the statement I will use Q. So you can log in to the network is represented by Q, and you cannot log into the network will be not Q. So these are the two gathered information from the environment. So we have P implies Q and not Q. So whenever these two information are there, then what your machine will deduce at that point of time, machine will understand it has to apply the concept of modus tollens, and then it will reply therefore not P. Means P means you have a current password, not P means you cannot have a current password. So as a result, the machine will write what your machine will give, that you don't have a current password. This is the outcome from your AI machine. Remember one point, when to use modus ponens and when to use modus tollens, it is dependent on what scenario is given to you. If the scenario is P implies Q and P it is given, then it will use modus ponens, which is known as forward rule. And whenever the information given to the machine is P implies Q and not Q, at that point of time machine will understand it has to use modus tollens, which is also known as back forward rule. Now I will discuss the next topic, tautology. So what is the meaning of tautology? We have to understand. So it is just a proposition that is always true. Means if I can write P, P means a particular statement, that is sky is blue. So this atomic statement can be represented as P. So I'm just writing P. But if I write the term as P or not P, then it is known as tautology. Why? Because according to the description of the tautology, something which is always true in nature is termed as tautology. Means if I create a truth table using P and not P. So P means P have only two scenario, true and false, and not P means false and true. So if I write this statement P or not P, each time I will get true always. So if the expression is always true in nature, then it is known as tautology. On the other hand, if I write one particular expression as P and not P, you will find that the corresponding truth table outcome for P and not P will be always false. So at that point of time, it is known as contradiction. And the third term is known as contingency. Contingency means it is a proposition that is neither true nor false. Means if I write P or Q, means implies not R. It means what? P means a statement, say sky is blue, or Q means a separate statement, means earth is round, that implies some not of other statement. So can I derive something from this statement? No, because nothing to derive, because they are dealing with two different kind of statements. So contingency is a proposition that is neither tautology nor a contradiction, just an expression. And the general form of this expression is like this. So this is a contingency expression. But by applying this all concept, how AI machine will work, that is the important topic of discussion. But before that, what kind of question you can expect in exam, that I am explaining, that you may be given one problem like this, that verify the proposition P double implies Q and not P and Q is a contradiction. So you have to verify this, that this expression is contradiction. So at that point of time, what you will do, you can either use truth table, or I have one shortcut for it. In the beginning of the class, I have discussed that P double implies Q. So it can be represented as P implies Q and Q implies P. We know that. And this two line can be also represented as not P or Q and not Q or P. So this kind of simplification you can perform first from the given expression. And this is already simplified. Now, how can you represent this that it is a contradiction? Now, to prove this one, that this expression is a contradiction, what we can do? So basically, my intention is, after performing simplification, we can create one truth table. Now, how to create that truth table? So we have P, we have Q, we have P implies Q, we have Q implies P, and then the rest of the statements are P implies Q and Q implies P. And this one is P double implies Q. So basically we have to compare this two, so that we could prove that it is a contradiction or not. So how could I prove this? So how many combinations will be there for P? True, true and false, false. And for Q, true, false, true, false. So P implies Q. P implies Q means what? Not P or Q. So how could I find? P is true, not P means false. Or Q is true, so here we have true. So false, true, and we have or in between. So the first output will be true. So similarly, we can calculate all other output for P implies Q. Similarly, we can calculate all the output for Q implies P. And then we can calculate what is the outcome if I perform AND in between these two fields. So if I perform AND operation between these two fields, so I will get true, false, false, true. And we know that what is the value of P double implies Q? We can find it out as true, false, false, true, something like this. So the problem is you have to build a truth table to verify that the proposition P implies P double implies Q and not P or Q is a contradiction that you have to prove using a truth table. So this assignment you have to perform, but I will solve one specific problem so that it can be easier for you to understand what is the application of this kind of problem. A problem is given that find a simple form for the negation of the proposition if the sun is shining, then I am going to the ball game. So, today, what is the intention of my classes so that we could solve this kind of problem? So, what is the problem? Pay attention. You have to find a simple form. Simple form means simpler representation for this given expression. Just in the previous section, I was discussing that sometimes a problem will be given like this. That is, show that not P implies Q is equivalent to P and not Q. So we can expect two kind of problem. Either this problem will be given or this problem will be given. So I know that for students it is very easy to comprehend that what we have to show, not of something is equivalent to P or not Q, means immediately it will come in your mind that you have to create one truth table. So let me solve this problem first. So how to show that this particular expression is equivalent to this particular expression? So I will try to make one truth table, that is P, Q, and then not Q, P implies Q, then the given statement not P implies Q and P and not Q. So now I'm creating the truth table. P implies Q means not P or Q. Not P or Q means true, false, true, true. And not P implies Q. Not P implies Q means false, true, false, false. And then P and not Q. P and not Q means false, true, false, false. So this is my truth table. So now can I tell that this expression is equivalent to this expression or not? Yes or no? This expression is equivalent to this expression or not? Yes, right? Now I will try to relate how this problem is related to this problem. Now compare this. What it is written here, find a simple form of the negation of the proposition if the sun is shining means P, then I am going to the ball game Q. Means what is the actual representation of this real world scenario? Negation of P Q. And we have if and then. So due to if and then we know that we have to use implication sign, and the first statement is denoted as P and the second statement is denoted as Q. And the simple form we have to find out negation of this statement. Negation of this statement means negation of P implies Q. So basically, whatever problem is given to us, the actual propositional or actual logical conversion of this statement is not P implies Q. Negation of if the sun is shining, then I am going to the ball game. So we have to find the simple form. We know that right now we have done this. The simple form of this expression, which is equivalent to this expression, is P and not Q. So basically, the simple form of this expression is P and not Q. So basically, the output of this problem will be P. P means the sun is shining. The sun is shining. Then we have and not Q. Not Q means I am going to the ball game. Not q means I am not going to the ball game, and I am not going to the ball game. So, whenever a simple expression like this is fed into the machine, your machine will give the output something like this. How machine is deriving? Machine is trying to find out the equivalent expression of this given statement by using truth table so that it could infer the simpler form.